here for folks like us. Wrong city, wrong people.
Alright guys, welcome to the channel. I am Aesop Grimm, and this is episode number 1 of what I'm anticipating to be a really short series, but this is the game that I'm spending all of my time in right now, so this is what I'm recording. As you can see, it's World of Warcraft Burning Crusade Classic Anniversary Edition. This is, I'm recording it as of Wednesday, the 4th of February in 2026, so that means that tomorrow, almost exactly 24 hours from the time that it is for me right now, is the opening of the portal to Outlands. So I'm in crunch time trying to get things ready. I've got music turned down right now because the first thing that we're going to go over is kind of like my plan. I'm going to show you my characters. Really, Cancerella here doesn't really count. Cancerella is like a temporary bank alt, but she is undead warlock. I think she looks good. This character has potential as far as how good she would look later down the road if I were to decide to play warlock. Unfortunately for me, the only warlock that I really like is Affliction, and I am a subpar player. I am not good. I don't pretend to be good. I've gotten better since I began WoW SOD, but I am still just not a good player, and I don't really think I ever will be. Can I be competent? Yeah, but I wouldn't call myself good, right? So, and Affliction requires the most skill, I think maybe by far, of the 3 warlock classes, because you get into things like snapshotting your dots. You got to make sure your dots don't get overwritten by all the dots getting loaded on the boss mob, and I don't even know how to do half that stuff, you know? So it's a high skill thing, and that's unfortunately really the only thing that I like about warlocks. Their mechanics, their play style of doing damage over time, what I like to call sneaky damage, the idea that they can do harm through life siphoning spells to an enemy while also healing themselves, that kind of a mechanic always really appeals to me as a mechanic. Thematically, demon play bothers the flippin' crap out of me, man. So I don't get into the demonology build, and I feel like the destruction build, I should just play a mage. I'm not saying that that's the truth. So if you're a warlock player, I'm not trying to throw you under the bus. It's how I feel. That's how it always makes me feel. Right, so I really just zone in on Affliction, and I don't feel like I'm a good enough player to do Affliction the right way. And in this game, you would be having to work your tail off just to bring decent average level DPS, you know? So anyway, I've already spoken too long on a class I don't plan on playing, but Cancerella is pretty much just kind of a bank alt right now. My actual true bank alt is Halcyon Days. Halcyon Days is a Blood Elf mage. She is level 26. I've had to do a lot of research to learn what I'm about to tell you. You guys probably all know it and have known it for a long time, but this is the noob side of me. I've just now learned about this, and I've done it honestly by working with AI a lot. So what I have learned is that I need to get Halcyon Days to level 35. Halcyon Days is my bank alt. That's why she's a mage. She can zip all over the major cities once she reaches a certain level. I think actually she needs to be level 40 to do several of the cities. But the other thing that I'm having planned for her is that she will, think of her as a bank and an auction house tune. She's going to have large storage in the bank vault, and she's also who I'm going to send stuff to so that she can put it up on the AH. So she is supposed to be something of a gold making character also, or at least a central depository for the things that will make gold. So the professions that she has right now are enchanting and tailoring. But my plan for her is for her to be enchanting and an alchemist. And level 35 with 300 of 300 enchanting, according to AI, allows her to disenchant every BOE that I find, or almost, not like 99% of the BOEs that I find in Outlands with my main character. So I can mail those back, have her disenchant them, put them on the AH, and I can use her alchemy transmutes and her potion making ability to put stuff up onto the AH as well. Okay, so that said, I've got a long way to go with her. I'm getting pretty close to the level that she needs, but her skill level in enchanting, I don't have very good hopes that I'm going to make it, that I'm going to have her ready for the outset of when the portal opens. But I'm working on her. This is probably who we're going to play today. Ultimately, she needs to get to level 50. Level 50, what does that allow her to do that I couldn't do at level 35? I think it has to do with the alchemy side. I think it allows her to specialize so that she can get a possibility of getting 2 transmutes. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. For enchanting, as long as I have her trained, so I might need somebody to run me through the dungeon that she needs to go through to get at some point in time to continue her training. But as long as I can do that and get her to 300 of 300 level enchanting, then she can be level 35 and disenchant most everything. So that's good. And then eventually I guess I'm repeating myself. Eventually I want to get her to level 50, and then that, I think, opens up all of the options that I need for her when it comes to alchemy. Okay, Form Assist here is my druid, and this is my primary alt, at least right now. I am seriously considering a shaman, but gosh, it's going to be a heck of a grind. I don't buy characters, I don't do the boost thing. I like the leveling process, and I part of why I like my characters is because of all the time that I've spent with them. So I don't like to gyp myself. That's how I see it. I'm not faulting anybody else for doing that. People have busy lives, right? But for me, it's a no-go. So I would level from level 1, and that's a heck of a climb to get a shaman. But I've never played shaman, so that's very, very tempting to me. But I want the druid because this is my gathering tune, and druid is really good for that, especially when we get to level 68 flight form. Do I know that for myself from personal experience? Hell no. Hell no. I've learned all this stuff from talking with AI and by researching forums and stuff like that. But my druid is going to be my miner and my herbalist. So he'll send herbs to Halcyon Days, and she'll convert those. She'll use those with her alchemy, or she'll just put them up on the AH. A lot of times herbs just by themselves are the best way to go. So I'll make judgment calls as I learn more. My hunter is my main. This is what I'm maining. Last in SOD, which was my return to WoW after 15 years away, was Paladin. I ended up maining a Paladin. I also played Warrior extensively. That entire thing was really me testing out and finding out which do I like more, the Warrior or the Paladin. And what I found out is that I really truly suck at Fury. I'm really, really atrocious at it. And Warrior requires a certain mindset, I think, that I don't possess. It's a balls to the wall, pedal to the metal, go, 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 kill everything right now, just bam, 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 in your face, high charge, go all the time. Trinkets up, boom, 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 big damage, big damage, big damage, fast, fast, fast on the keys. That doesn't match my mentality, like as a human being. I am more defensive in nature, tactical. A lot of times if stuff gets up in my face, I want to draw back and look at the big picture. Paladin ended up being a much better fit for me. But now that we're into a new expansion, I want to try other characters. And actually, whenever I first returned to WoW, before finding SOD in the guild that I'm in right now, I started out playing a hunter. I played him all the way to level 63, I think. And didn't really learn a whole terrible amount, but learned a few things about macros and stuff. So now I want to main a Beastmaster Hunter. It's one of the meta classes for this game, for this expansion. And so you can see I've already got a Ravager. I have leveled him up. My Beastmaster, my Hunter is 60. I just recently hit 60. My Ravager last night just dinged 57. So I'm trying to get it to level 60. I got this from the Drainy Eye starter area. When it comes to professions, right now I am a Skinner and a leather worker. I am level 285 on leather working, so I'm trying to finish off those last 15 points before the portal opens tomorrow evening for me. I believe that I can achieve that, and hopefully my pet will be level 60 also. But if he's not, or she, this is a she, if she's not, her name is Critty Noam. That's why it's a she. If she's not, then I believe that she'll level up pretty quickly in Outlands. So, professions. I just told you I'm leatherworking, skinning. I'm trying to get those last 15 points of leatherworking done. But end game, whenever I reach level 70, my goal is to craft the Hunter leatherworking set. And once I've done that, put that on. From what I've heard, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, from what I have heard, one of the changes with this version of the Burning Crusade is that drums are now raid-wide. Well, we're going to have plenty of leatherworkers in our guild, so I don't think I need to keep leatherworking for drums. I'm going to be getting it from somebody else. So I'm planning on making him a jewel crafter and a engineer for his end game. That will be at level 70. So my druid, who is a miner, will feed ore to my hunter for both engineering and the prospecting side of jewel crafting. So let's just recap right there. Cancerella is not applicable, right? She's just kind of a bank alt right now, and eventually she'll probably be completely ignored, even though I love how she looks. Everything up here looks terrific. I really think she looks fantastic, but we already talked about why I won't be playing her. Halcyon Days is my bank alt and my AH character, my auction house character. She is ultimately going to be alchemist and enchanting. Formicist is my gathering druid, my primary ult as well, so I'm trying to get him geared. He's to help provide flexibility for my guild in case we need a healer to come in or an off tank or something like that. I can fill those kinds of roles. From what I understand, DPS is going to be pretty trash for druid, but you know what? We are going to want... it's not Wind Fury, guys. Oh man, I forgot what it's called, guys, but it's the thing that the Feral Druid, DPS Druid provides for the melee group. And we might need that, you know, and so I want to have a character that I'm able to step in a pinch and do hopefully a serviceable job of filling a role if we need it. And so that's going to be Formicist, and he's my gatherer. He will be doing mining and herbalism. And then Trump Mugshot is my main. Trump Mugshot, whatever class that I pick, is always my main, or has been. This is the second expansion in a row that I've done Trump Mugshot as a name. And so he will be jewel crafting and engineering. Okay, so that said, let's actually jump onto Trump real quick and you can kind of see where I'm at. And then we're going to pop over to... Well, I guess we'll take a look at Formicist real quick. but then we're going to do some questing with Halcyon Days. How far are we? We're about 15 minutes in this game. I'm here at Everlook. What did I get mail for? Ah. Okay, this is one of my guildies. I actually meant for her to keep this, but this is her alt, and she's trying to level up her lockpicking, so I'm going to be sending her all of the lockboxes I come across, and that was cool that she sent it back. I actually didn't expect that. Wasn't expecting it. It was for her, but I guess now that I think about it, it makes sense. She's really just trying to get the skill. So I'm doing her a solid by sending her lockboxes. She's a cool guildie, man. I like her personality. She's kind of got a little rough edge to her without being over the top, you know. So my guild, guys, is what are we called here? We're not Turbo Team anymore. Coffin Floppers? Yeah, we're the Coffin Floppers. Guys, my guild is freaking cool. Look, you can tell by the name of my gaming channel and the name of my character. I am hardcore MAGA. Hardcore. I flippin' love it, right? If you think that makes me a Nazi, go away, man. We're not going to get along, right? Well, no, let me rephrase that. If you think that makes me intolerable and you hate me for it, and we can't have any dialogue at all, then I don't want you here, and you don't want to be here. That's what I'm saying. If you just disagree with that, even vehemently so, but you're not, you know, thinking that I need to be liquidated or something, then you're fine. You know, you're welcome here, even if we disagree stringently on stuff and shout at each other in the comments. But the reason I bring that up is because my guild has a lot of liberals in it, from what I can tell. Now, we have a policy of not discussing politics, so it's a little hard for me to say where everybody's at with specificity, but we do seem to have a number of people that at least lean liberal. Now, as far as I know, we don't have any lefties, and for me, the way that I consider lefties to be like, if you're pro-Antifa, you're a lefty. I think you're crazy, right? Liberals, I just think are ideologically captured, but they're very well-meaning. So you can kind of see where we're at with my character as I talk about this. But the point that I'm trying to make is that the guild leadership and the core members of our guild that did all of SOD together, we get along. We get along really well. This is like, we got some great personalities in this guild. And Little Deaths is one of them. That's why I was telling you about her. I was like, I like her because she's got kind of a edginess to her personality. Like, she don't really take shit, you know? And but without being coming off sounding kind of, I don't know, the word militant comes to mind. You know, she's not a bitch. I mean, to put it bluntly, she's not a bitch. And so I really like that aspect about her personality. And she's just one example, because our guild is full of really cool people. We have a good mix of fellas and gals, and a pretty diverse set of backgrounds. We have Canadians, we have Americans. I'm not really sure if we have anybody else. If we do, I can't quite tell. And I guess that would be normal because we're on a North American server, right? But if you're looking for a guild, you might want to give us a shot. And you can send me a whisper, or you can /who. I think you can /who a guild name. I'm not sure. But Fanamic is somebody that you can whisper. Porkins is another. And Calocane. And Elder Grace. And Terabeth. and Syntheus. There, I think I got all of the major guild officers right there. Those names right there, you can look for them. Those are their character names. Sometimes they're on alts and stuff, so, you know, but those are their main character names. And I would encourage you to give us a shot if you're looking for a place to just really play some... We're not a hardcore guild. That said, we do try. We keep a schedule. We try to encourage everybody to be ready, be as raid ready as possible, and we put forth some effort, but we are not a sweaty hardcore guild. More of a dad gaming kind of guild. You know, most people have families and jobs, and you know, they're busy and stuff like that. But I'm telling you, man, I've really enjoyed being in this guild, and a part of it is because, now this is just me personally, right? I'm really talking more about myself than the guild right now, but I have just always really felt strongly that you should surround yourself with people that disagree with you on things, but you can still get along with them. I think that's a major key component to growth, and I think it helps keep your it helps to keep your social skills strong, so that you can work with people that don't align with you, even on serious things. And I just kind of feel like that's important for society. And boy, I tell you what, for me being the kind of firebrand that I am, for me to be able to speak so glowingly about this guild, that's what I'm trying to paint the picture of. Look at where I'm at. You know, if you've been on my channel, you've heard me go off on the left a few times. You know, I'm not politically neutral in the least, and I have a lot of zeal for my side and a lot of angst against the other side. And yet, I really, really like this guild that I'm in, that has people that are pretty clearly liberal, and a number of people, right? So, I think that's a testament to how good my my guild leadership sets the tone and manages personnel issues. This can extend beyond politics. This can be about stuff that people are frustrated about within the game, you know? Some people want to go faster, go harder. Some people are like, man, I can't keep up with that, and you end up with conflicts, right? So I'm really trying to paint that picture of my guild leadership does a darn good job of handling personalities and finding middle ground and being reasonable and respectful towards everybody in there, both their perspectives and their feelings, I think. And I'm not someone who likes to talk about feelings a whole lot, but when you get people that are upset with each other, that's a part of it. Right? So anyway, there's your guild advertisement for me. It is Coffin Floppers, and I have really enjoyed my time with them. I think it's been 2 years now, because I believe SOD was 2 years. And so we're entering into year 3 here. Let's see if any of the guild officers are on right now. Let's see. This is the girl I was telling you about. I think this is her boyfriend, but I'm not positive. I have a hard time telling. But this guy right here is really cool. This dude knows a lot, and he doesn't talk a whole lot. He's one of those people that can say a lot without using a lot of words. He's really good. In my opinion, that's a communications capability. I don't have it. I talk a whole bunch. I don't see any officers on at the moment, unless they're alts. So, this is actually a really low count for us right now. Yesterday, there were a whole bunch of people on. Alright, well, I think I showed you enough with the hunter as I talked to you about my guild. So, if you noticed, even at level 57, with my hunter, my actual hunter being level 60, so I'm doing more damage, right, than my pet. And I'm several levels higher than him, and he was still able to hold aggro that entire time. If we mouse over here, you can see, well, his bite and gore are actually kind of low. That normally they're higher. Gore is like number 3 on my list there. Pretty typically. But I just got him rank 8 gore. He has rank 7 bite. He has, I think it's rank 8 growl that I just trained at level 50 for him. So that's kind of a look at Trump Mugshot. Let's go ahead and switch over now to Form Assist. Okay, Form Assist is, what level am I? Level 42. What do I have to do here? Find and kill Bastogrun. Okay, so I've got rested XP up. You can see that. Let's go see if we can find Bastogrun. Now, I have really thoroughly enjoyed leveling my druid as feral DPS. So I was a little surprised to see that they're like C level on the DPS tier according to a number of people on YouTube, granted, but that's kind of where the knowledge base hangs out, you know? And not only that, but that's sort of like your cap. They are C if you know everything that you're doing when it comes to power shifting. Which I don't. I've never power shifted in my life. I would have to like look up a tutorial video on how to do that. But apparently it has something to do with shifting out of form and then right back into form in order to get the free energy for it. So you're having to sweat pretty hard just to get C level DPS. That sucks. I have absolutely no interest in doing that. So like I said, I would do it in a pinch for the guild if we needed a feral druid to bring that buff that they bring. I don't know why I can't remember its name, but I do this regularly. I'm old, guys, so I forget words and stuff. But as far as leveling up, man, he's been kind of a blast. Stuff like that right there. I've really liked this character. He can kind of answer anything, any kind of situation. If you're wondering at all about my setup here, I'm using dominoes for my bars. Oh, let's do some work here. Okay, that takes care of one of them. The boss is up ahead. I don't know if maybe I can peel off one more. I doubt it. I think this might aggro everybody. But we'll try it. It's awfully close, man. Oh, he's not dead. Doggone, I need to get that mage. I got stunned. Okay, well, I wanted to take the mage down. So I was able to accomplish that. It took an awful lot. So So I'm using dominoes for my bars, and I've kind of moved things all over the place. And I like to keep things at 10% visibility until I mouse over them. And then I'm using shadowed unit frames for my targets and myself and stuff like that. And then I have weak auras. Where's my how come I can't? Oh, I ran to the wrong spot, man. I'm a knucklehead. I don't really walk and chew bubble gum at the same time. I have weak auras for my primary stuff whenever I'm in combat. Okay, mage down. Let's drink. This, I just click myself so that I can see my mana bar. I don't normally have it up, because it's included in my weak aura. But I have my weak aura set so that it's only visible during combat. Well, it says he is this way. Oh.
What can I do for you?
We got guided to here instead.
Got my attention. See you soon.
Do I have to take lost fragments? Doesn't say so. Man, I kind of want to find that boss. Let me check my map. Is there a circle? There is a circle. Okay, so here's the mage that I killed. So we should be able to catch him. Alright, that's just a camp, so he's not there. I wish it would show up here, that red path line. That would be nice. Whoa. Doggone it. Get away, wolf. I ain't got the time. I gotta find this dude. I feel like I've probably gone past him. If I click this and I'm close to him, it should target him. I think he's behind me. Unless somebody killed him. And that's a possibility, but I didn't see a body lying around anywhere. I wonder if he makes it to a certain destination and disappears. Oh, that sucks, man. I feel like I put in some work and didn't get to take advantage of the payoff. Okay, well, it could be that he got to this camp and despawned And that's why this is telling me to go do other stuff. Okay, well, we'll have to do that. Go do other stuff. What's this say here? Find and kill. Well, you know what? It's pointing me towards him. Is the compass that smart? Does it know that he respawned back here? No, I think it's taking me to waypoints to look around. Alright, well, we're gonna say we're done. Because I really need to be focusing on Halcyon Days. Jesty is an officer also, guys. I didn't name him earlier. And he has several tunes with variations of this name. Sometimes one S, sometimes two, sometimes instead of a Y, it's an IE. Okay, Halcyon Days is level 26. And right now she is killing these water elementals. Man, he got on me in a hurry. Alright. Now I have never, until this character, played a mage past level 23. But for whatever reason, I have been enjoying this mage. And from what I'm told, the early stages of playing mage is kind of like the pits. People, it's just not that fun. And so, if I'm actually kind of enjoying it, even though this is the toughest part, the most boring part, the most tedious part, then I feel like that bodes well. And maybe there's something here that kind of like with changing taste buds, you know, as you age, your taste can change. And you start liking things that you didn't like before, or you no longer like things that most of your life you've really liked a lot. Maybe that's playing a role, because I am enjoying this mage more than I've ever enjoyed mage before. That's not to say that I love it. I wouldn't say that, but I've had a good time. We're going to make food and water. Okay, I just grabbed some food and water also. You saw me, I just now turned the music up a little Volume is something that we'll be playing around with as the episodes continue. I just gotta have time to check an episode and see how things changed or sounded. Make any tweaks that I need to, etc., etc. You can see my UI is relatively the same. Somebody must be out here killing elementals. I need 4 more. I had to mute Mike there for a second. Alright, here we go. Oh, you know what? I think that we do have one person that I would probably quantify as a lefty. She's Canadian, and she's an animal rights activist. Like, she goes out and protests and stuff. But she's a real sweetheart, too. I don't know, you know, we get along. We get along. So it's a pretty good guild with a lot of different kinds of people in it, and we make it work. In SOD, we cleared everything. There's not anything in SOD that we weren't able to take down. I am one of the most mediocre people in the entire group, in the entire guild, and I don't really get any flack for it. I would not describe myself as trash. I'm not bad, but I wouldn't say I'm good either. I'm pretty average. Oh. Let's see if we can get away from him. Okay. Like, I was just whispering with the animal rights activist girl that I was telling you about. I was just whispering her the other day. We were just kind of exchanging. We were talking about little things, you know. And we both enjoy that game, Surviving Mars. I'm a little bit surprised to find a girl that likes Surviving Mars. Maybe I'm being too stereotypical there, but that game is like about making systems work with each other, which to me seems to appeal more to the male mindset. But this is why I like working with people. You can't really fit everybody into a box. Stereotypes exist for a reason. I think it's foolish to say stereotypes are always false. The stereotype exists because it's widely true. There's a pattern amongst whatever category you're talking about, right? But it is, oh no, we don't want to use that, but it is incorrect to assume that the stereotype applies to all. There is always an exception to the rule, and so you want to keep your mind open for that. But yeah, we were talking about Surviving Mars, you know, so just a really good guild with a lot of people that seem to get along pretty well. despite I paused there because I want to say two things on this, so I want to finish my sentence. Despite having clear differences in worldview / ideology / political stances, whatever you want to call it, right? All three of those kind of fit. You can make like a Venn diagram out of that. A Venn, not Zen, a Venn diagram. But what I wanted to say is that being an older person, having grown up in the early 90s, I'm sort of somebody who has lived in, I would say, actually kind of three different worlds. The pre-9/11, pre-internet world, the post-9/11 world, which is kind of what the millennials grew up in. That was, there were things that were, the way that the world changed post 9/11 had some traumatic effects on millennials. And then you get to what's called, I guess, the age of authenticity. I think actually that's the official, what it's officially known as in academic circles. And that's more the Gen Z age. And as somebody who has lived through all three, I feel like I'm able to compare and contrast in ways that many of my younger peers, I don't know if you would call them peers, my younger compatriots, lack. They just, obviously, right? They'll never have that. I have certain views informed by having lived through these three different eras that just simply can't be duplicated. You can read about it, you could be smart on it, you could do studies, but if you didn't experience it, there's just by definition going to be ways that you can't synthesize that the way that I can. That's one of the reasons that I appreciate my age quite a bit. And what I'm wanting to go with on that is that there was a time when having a wide spectrum between worldview or political stances was not a thing at all. You would be the weirdo if you couldn't get along with people that thought differently than you. But now, because things have been so politicized, and I think on purpose, I think that there are people who subscribe to certain political, people at the top, certain political ideals of pitting the population against each other so that the elites can get away with bloody murder, have employed strategies to do just exactly that. Now, obviously, with where I'm at on the political spectrum, I believe that the evidence strongly supports that that is driven from the left. It's not exclusively the left, but the left is the one in control, the one that drives that bus, and the one that initiated it. But the right complies for power purposes. Because, you know, they get bribed. They get benefits out of it. So anyway, it used to be that this was not an issue, but now that we've been socially engineered, where on purpose people are trying to make everything political. Everything. Video games, entertainment, what music you like, what actors you like or dislike and why, who you support, who you don't support, on areas that have nothing to do with politics, they have to do with culture. Right? That stuff has all become not just political, but existential. You know, like if I concede this ground to you, I lose a right. Or vice versa. So we're in this era where everything, to borrow a Depeche Mode phrase from a song of theirs, everything counts in large amounts. And it used to not be that way. Go under the gazebo. I'm sorry, I got talking and we didn't quest. Go under the gazebo, scout the gazebo on Mistral Lake that overlooks the nearby Alliance outpost. Okay. Alright, so I'm gonna kind of cool it on the political talk. I don't even like to call it political talk, guys. A lot of people would understandably say that I'm extremely political. I actually think that's not true. What I am is I'm very, very interested in culture and where culture is headed, what people think, and why they think it. I read and listen to stuff about history like on a fairly consistent basis because, as my former professor once told me, history is about the only scientific laboratory that we have for social behavior, for how societies work. I think that's how she put it. For how societies work. You look into the past, you watch how people dealt with things, and you can tend to draw parallels to even to our age, because people are people at the end of the day. The circumstances may be different, and sometimes they're so radically different that it's kind of hard to find common ground, but people fundamentally have been the same since the dawn of time. So I'm very, very interested in what people believe, how they come to believe it, and why. What are we doing here? Turn in Ashenvale Outrunners. Okay, so we don't have to stop here. There we go. Let's go ahead and top up on health so we can make this run. I can back off of her a little bit. I only had us zoomed in because whenever I was swimming underwater, I wanted the camera to be underwater. Alright, I'm going to mute Mike and grab a drink again. Okay, if you look at the bottom at my Titan panel, that's what this add-on is called down here. My XP per hour this session right now is 7,000, about 7,500, which is really bad. My time to level is 57 minutes to make level 27. But we're about to see that number go up quite a bit. For most of my time playing World of Warcraft, this is why I'm such a noob. I didn't even mess with endgame whatsoever. There's a lot of stuff that I don't even know about. I have to hear it from my guildies about how to prepare for stuff or go look it up on the internet or something. Like, for example, I have only just recently, we're talking about a couple weeks ago, become aware that in TBC, the major thing you're trying to do is to gain faction rep, and you're trying to get through these dungeons and eventually heroic dungeons in order to get your pre-raid bis and get ready for the end game. I didn't know that back in the day whenever I was playing in 2004 to 2007. Or I think 2008 might be where I quit. And so I'm just now learning about that kind of stuff. I just today, just a few minutes before I got on and started recording this video, I was listening to a YouTube video about how to go through the Hellfire Ramparts quest line, which then leads you into the Blood Furnace quests for that dungeon. And like, I didn't know that's like the primary quest line objective that you're supposed to be pursuing in TBC. Most of my time in World of Warcraft has been spent just relaxing and leveling my characters. That's really what at one point in time, I was under so much dang mental duress that leveling characters in WoW is how I calmed down and was able to relax and let the stress melt off so that I could be functional come Monday, you know, for my job. I didn't know it at the time. It's 2020 hindsight that tells me that, but that's how bad it was. So it used to be that this was more like therapeutic for me, and all I did was level characters. And I've always, this is my main point, I've always followed guides. And the guides going all the way back to that time period, early 2000s, always had you grab a bunch of quests and go at like what would be called a quest hub. Like usually it's a site like this, a camp, and then go out and do all of the quests, a whole bunch of them, all in kind of the same area, before returning back and turning all those quests in. So you can see we've already spiked up to 13k. And it looks like we've got 5 quests to turn in. Three stamina, 7 intellect. Yep. I want that. Okay. So we have a new staff. We're up to about 20k XP per hour, 7 minutes until I level.
Well met.
And there. Turned in several quests right here. It wasn't 10 minutes ago that I told you I had 57 minutes to level. Now it's 43 minutes to get the next level. So
We shall meet again.
that's how it's always been done, but this rested XP guide is worth its weight in gold. Increase attack power by 18. I don't need that. Okay, so what are we at? We're at almost 52,000 XP per hour now. Look at that, 26 minutes time to level.
Blood and thunder.
58,000, 20 minutes time to level. So now we have, looks like one more quest to turn in. Yama. Where is Yama at? She's 23 yards away. I don't know, it says that she's in here. Yeah.
Hail.
Okay, now fly to Zoram. I'm gonna actually sell.
Speak, friend.
Do I have a repair? No, but I have a repair at Zoram, so I'll do it there. Click this, off we go. We're sitting at 63,000 XP per hour, 17 minutes until I grab level 28. So that's how fast that can go. I want to reiterate, I don't know how long of a series this is going to be. I don't plan on taking this all the way to level 70 or anything like that. It's just that I want to have videos that I can put up on my channel. And this is all that I'm playing right now. So this is what I need to be recording. I'm very, very interested in World of Warcraft at the moment. It's super, super, super too bad that I accidentally deleted my whole Surviving Mars archive. My mind was thinking that I had uploaded all those videos already, and I had not. So those were going to be Tuesday and Thursday videos for the next like 4 weeks. Gosh, I think I had more than that. That 4 weeks would be 8 video. Well, probably about that. I think I had about 4 weeks worth of videos there that I just accidentally completely wiped off my drive. So, and I didn't want to do any data recovery or anything like that. I was just like, you know, you win some, you lose some, just scrap it up as a loss and press on, because I don't have time for it. I need to be in this game, getting things done with these characters, and it's what I want to be doing. So not very many people were watching the Surviving Mars stuff anyway. Bannerlord is the one that's getting all the views, so we will be returning to that probably not next week, but the week after at the latest. That's at the latest. It could very well be next week that we start looking at Bannerlord again. I just got to find out what's going on, because I think it's a little odd that King Gricka has not declared war on anybody for quite some time now, and I'm not sure if it's because something with the AI influence mod is making it so that he won't do that unless we sort of try to gather popular support and like the player agency aspect, and unless the player makes that happen, he won't do it on his own. That's something I'm putting on the table. I don't know if that's true. I certainly don't know if it's intended or if it's just an accidental byproduct of how the AI influence mod works. Because everything with AI right now is experimental.
Loktar, may your blades never dull. Eloman.
Eloman.
Who you be?
Yes, we want this.
Later.
And we'll put it on. Earth to Splinter Tree. I'm going to sell first. I thought there was a repair guy here. I guess I was wrong. Okay. Instead of hearthing, I'm just going to fly to TB. And we will sell and repair at TB. As a mage, I really should have just... Don't I have a... Silver Moon, Undercity, Orgrimmar? I do not have the Thunderbluff one. I think I needed to be higher level. And it knows that I'm a mage too. So it knew that. I think it'll probably tell me whether or not I should go and buy the... What do you call this? Not the teleportation. Oh yeah, it is. I don't remember what the other one is called. It'll tell me when to go buy that. I used AI to figure out what mods I was going to use, and it really actually wanted me to use Chinchilla Map, but Chinchilla Map had not been updated for this version of WoW, so it wasn't working. So I got Big Sexy Map here, I think is what this is called. Maybe it's just called Sexy Map. And at least for the mage, this whole runic look is pretty awesome. I think it fits the mage really well. Then I have this button here. I think this is called Mini Button, something like that, and it holds all of my add-on buttons in here that I can select. I have my bags down here. I have my threat meter, or excuse me, my DPS meter with the threat meter that appears up top. I actually might not have that selected for her. So I might not have a threat meter currently. I have Questy right here. I resized my icons up here. I think regular WoW gave me the ability to do that. I can't remember. I mentioned dominoes. I use dominoes for my buttons. I keep everything really faded out until I mouse over it. And I keep this stuff here because I'm I'm such a noob that these characters, I'm learning all of their abilities, and I have to shuffle things around as I learn new levels, and I need muscle memory for all of that. I have hotkeys on almost everything, and so I need these up until I have memorized absolutely everything. So this is a comfort thing for me. It's like training wheels. But if I played this game a whole lot, and especially if I ever ended up specializing in one character, I would have... This stuff would probably... I would still have it there, but I would have it completely faded out to 0, and it would only show up if I moused over. And I might even just simply disable it and only go with this bar, and my weak auras, and my shadow unit frames. But you can see I have my target of target right here. I think I have a focus target that sits right here. My pet bar and my pet frame sits down here. My party frame goes here. I guess we could bring it up. Yeah, I have my boss up here, but really I just kind of watch this. Here's my party. Here's my raid frames. These are my main tanks, and their targets. I'll probably adjust these things as I actually get into raiding and find out where I want to have stuff at. I keep my XP bar down here. I have my Titan panel. Alright, turn in the Sacred Flame and accept its follow-up.
What brings you?
Okay, talk to Ald and accept a vengeful fate. Let's see where Ald is at. Ald is over on Spirit Rise. I could have just gone down the stairs, but whatever. Spirit Rise is where I want to go anyway, because that's where the undead are. Where I can find out if I can buy the Rune of Teleportation or the ability to teleport to Thunderbluff.
What now?
Looks like she's doing something. Where is Ald? I didn't find Ald, so I went to a different person there. What do we have here? Portal Trainer. This is the stuff that I'm too low level to learn yet. Oh, requires level 30. This is actually what I want to learn. But the portal is going to take level 50.
Embrace the shadow.
Alright. Shouldn't be anything here. But we're getting close. We're actually only 7 minutes away. At current XP levels. So we're gonna go upstairs. I am going tomorrow. I'm going with Trump Mugshot into Outlands. But if that sucker is absolutely swamped to where it's nigh impossible to get quest objectives done, which I am expecting that to be the case, then I'm gonna switch over to my alts because I got plenty of work that still needs to be done with them. Where is Ald? Is Ald not in Thunder Bluff? It says 260 meters away, so that should be in Thunder Bluff. And so my to-do list, which you guys are familiar with now because I gave you kind of my roadmap, but my to-do list is to get my mage to level 35, level up enchanting. Really, that's the only thing I'm concerned with for her at the moment. 135 meters. Oh, let's repair.
Looking for something special?
I want to disenchant that and get rid of these. Disenchant this. Bubbling water is better than what I've got, but I just like using my own stuff. I'm stubborn like that. I like the ability. Oh, I forgot. I need to be using this stuff. Somebody gave me this whenever I was in the Blood Elf starter area. I think because I was talking smack in general chat about political stuff and just kind of really tearing a lefty apart, like beating up on their argument and showing them how flawed it was. And I think this person came in open trade chat with me and gave me these potions because they liked that. I think that's what happened. We're going to disenchant this. I'm telling you, I have gotten so much love off of this name. And people have brought up the idea, like people in my guild that lean liberal. And I think that this idea has merit. But I'm about to tell you why I don't think that's the case also. That the name is ambiguous enough that if it were them, they would have thought I meant it in a pejorative way. Trump mugshot is what I'm talking about. Whenever I got these potions, I was not playing on Trump mugshot. I was playing on Halcyon Days. But I was still tearing the ribbons out of somebody in general chat over their terrible arguments. And I think the guy was showing appreciation. So now, though, I'm talking about Trump mugshot in that name and how much love I've gotten over it. And I had a guildie say, you know, if that were me, I would have thought that was meant in the pejorative way. So it could be that that's also some of the likes that you're getting. And I told him I thought that was a good point. I had thought about that before myself. And I didn't say this to him. Because there's just no need, right? I don't want to cause dissension in the guild. But what I think is that whenever I first made that character name, so this was months and months and months before he actually had, before he was exonerated. Right, I made this name back whenever it was still a heated thing, and the left was all kinds of super excited that, I mean, he had like 92 arraignments against them, or whatever you call it, indictments, you know, and they were like, we got him now. The left was really high on the hog at this point in time whenever I made this name. So I made it at the low point for my side and at the high point for theirs. And I believe at that point in time, some of the congratulations I got from people was just exactly what my guildie said. They were people that thought that I was making fun of Trump. I can't find the mailbox. But as time went on, and especially when you got past the point where he had all of those charges fell apart. They just completely fell apart, and it turns out that the people who brought those charges were actually guilty in some cases of the exact same things that they were charging him for. Talk about that's a radical amount of hypocrisy. Right? As time rolled on, it became more and more abundantly clear that I was somebody on my side, one of the millions who actually embraced that mugshot as a positive. As a, you guys done messed up. You know, for the same reasons that whenever rappers get busted and sent to prison, their record sales go up because it gives them street cred. You know, we know that we're fighting a two-tiered justice system. We know how corrupt this stuff is. It's pretty plainly evident to us. And so whenever you... What is this about? Oh, I have 12 gold. Okay, I'm not on Trump mugshot. I keep forgetting that. Sorry. So, as time rolls on, that name becomes more and more clearly obvious that it is a pro-Trump name. So I don't think it's the case that here just a couple weeks ago, whenever I was in the Blood Elf starter area, somebody gave me... oh, well, no, I keep confusing that. I wasn't on Trump mugshot. But the compliments that I've gotten... I need to not conflate these two issues. I keep conflating them in my mind. The compliments that I've gotten for this name for the past year and a half, whether I was playing WoW SOD or this version of WoW now, really, frankly, kind of surprised me. I thought that this was going to be a really incendiary name. I would not say that I made it to purposely trigger people. I made it to plant my flag on my stance and to say it boldly and without shame. I like this guy, and I don't care what you think about it. It's not... that's a little bit different than to make this name to cause you to be triggered, which I think is a little bit malicious. But the side aspect of the fact that it does trigger lefties is not lost on me or completely regretted. You know, I think that is that's a little bit edgy. It's a little bit malicious. I'm acknowledging that, but I'm kind of like okay with it. You know, it's just that's not my primary reason. I'm not disappointed if a lefty looks at that and just shrugs their shoulders and is like, whatever. You know, or not a lefty. A lefty would call me a Nazi, but a liberal. I really do make a distinction between those two. Let's see if we can find this person. So that's been kind of, there we go. Mildly surprising to me. And I guess if I were to, this is the enigma of it all. Whenever I think about it, and I consider the electorate that elected Trump. Trump won in a landslide. The left spent a lot of ink trying to say that's not the case. They're wrong. And everybody acknowledges that they're wrong. That's just propagandized news. Man, they tried really hard. They really did. They dug into it, and they tried to put their stats together and to say, it wasn't a landslide victory. The hell it wasn't. And you can't find people outside of media that will say that unless they're just coping, right? Most everybody acknowledged that was a landslide victory for Trump. He destroyed Kamala. He beat her so fast that their cheating mechanisms couldn't keep up. They didn't know what numbers to plug in. And if you think that's a conspiracy theory, you watch the court cases that are unfolding now. Dominion has been found. I've known this for years. Years. This is all Softmatic, Dominion. I've known these things for years. But because there was a widespread campaign to call it a conspiracy theory, most what we call normies are not aware of it. They're only just now starting to see, because the mainstream media is being forced to cover it, that Dominion and Softmatic, I don't know if I'm getting that second name completely right. If it's not Softmatic, it's really, really close. Softomatic or something like that. Were tied to Venezuela, and that they are used worldwide. They were birthed in Venezuela. It's a Venezuelan company. I think it was sold. It was originally a Venezuelan company, and then I think it was sold. And if I remember right, China has a stake in it. And it is used worldwide to steal elections. So Trump did win in a landslide, and he did it so fast that it beat the system they had in place to be able to work the algorithm and make these 51 to 49% wins that we've been seeing a lot of. What am I looking for here? Wool bandage until your skill is 115. Okay. Wool bandage 85. I'll have to come back and do that another time. Abandon the essence of Akumai. Okay. Oh, Black Fathom Deeps, yeah. I don't need anything from these dungeons. I'm gonna abandon both of those. Fly to Camp Tarajo. So, this is how my brain works, guys. I kind of daisy chain from one idea to another, but the main idea here that I was trying to get at is that when I sat down and thought about it, the idea that I was receiving a whole hell of a lot more compliments than what I expected actually makes sense, because the electorate for Trump was huge. He won in a landslide. You cannot win a landslide without grabbing the majority of the independents. Well, you can't win, period, even a close election, without grabbing a majority of the independents. But you can't win in a landslide without getting a lot of disaffected people that don't normally vote for you. That doesn't necessarily have to mean that you grabbed a bunch from the other side. Sometimes what it means is that a faction, like union workers, can be like this, and they were, in fact.
Well,
they're just sick of your BS. And they're like, you know what? I think this guy's saying it right. So I guess I misspoke. You are grabbing people that typically vote from the other side, and that's like a double win. Not only are you taking from them, but you're expanding your own point total. That's not just, that's like returning getting an interception in your own end zone. So you've robbed them of 7 points, and then returning it 100 yards to your own end zone and scoring a touchdown for your team. That's 7 points for you. That's actually a 14-point swing. You took 7 from them that they were supposed to get, and you added 7 to yours. That's a total of 14. And that's what, so it actually makes sense that a whole bunch of disaffected liberals voted for Trump. And so I've gotten a lot of compliments because Trump appeals to a really wide range of people. So I had to think, I was surprised, but as I thought about it, I was like, well, I guess actually this makes sense if you just look at the numbers. But gaming can be a little bit weird, especially games that take tons and tons of time like this. Or what kinds of games you play, whether it's considered based or whether it's considered liberal. Blizzard is notoriously liberal. And, talk to Mingletooth. Okay, Betrayal from Within. Got it. And it's a game that takes a lot of time, so I'm not trying to be mean to anybody or anything, but people who don't have jobs and sit at home, like I'm one of those people. I'm retired. I live on a pension, right? I'm a conservative. But you have a lot of people that they're not conservative, they're liberal, and they sit at home and don't have jobs, not because they can't work or don't need to be working, but because they have figured out how to game the system. I'm not trying to, I wouldn't attach that to the entire liberal side. I'm saying that you have a strong group of people that are like this, like a significant number of people. And so in a game like this, where the culture is going to lean left a lot of times, I was a little surprised. I will say I think that this server might be a little bit more based than my SOD server. My SOD server it leaned liberal. You could tell from the arguments in the trade chat, the conservatives were really having to fight off the masses, which I felt like we did pretty good, but you had more liberals or just people. The biggest group is the people that are just like, just stop. I don't want to hear it. I come in to play a video game to get away from all this crap. Honestly, I can understand that. I don't begrudge them their position, but it is what it is. I try not to I try not to stir stuff up too much. If I get talking in trade chat, it's because some liberal or a lefty, more often it's a lefty, said something so asinine or said something, went on and on about it for a long enough time, but normally it's because they said something that's so ridiculous, I find it intellectually offensive. Like, you're stupid. You're so stupid, it pisses me off. So now we're going to talk about it. Right? And that's kind of where 90% of my engagement in trade chat or general chat comes from. I don't normally initiate. Now, whenever I first made Trump mugshot, I did. But I think that the reason is because Biden was in office, and so I was pissed about a lot of stuff. And I was like, look, here's more evidence of this stuff happening, this stuff. This is what I don't like about liberals, too, is that they don't say word one whenever it's their side. You can look at the Epstein files for this. They don't say a peep. I don't think it's so much out of solidarity. I think it's because their media doesn't cover it, and so it's just not even on their minds. I think that's more often what's going on. But you can find a ton of liberals that are actually disingenuous about this. They do know what's going on. I just don't think it's the majority of them. But it's a lot. They do know what's going on, and they won't say a word. Because why? Because their ball's getting moved forward, and that's all they really care about. A ton of these liberals that are crying about Epstein, well, I guess they're not really crying a whole lot about it now. But, they were interested in Epstein like 5 minutes ago. These are terribly disingenuous people. And they don't really, it's just real clear that they don't care about Epstein. They don't care about these kids. They just care about get Trump. And if it's an issue that they feel like they can get Trump on, then they care about it. But the moment that stops being the case, they move on to something else. And that's how they are with everything from racism to pedophilia. A lot of them. This particular faction that I'm talking about, that they know what they're doing. They know, well, I don't know that I would say that they always know what they're doing. It's their media. Their media gets them spun up over it. This is why we call them NPCs. So if their media is not pushing it, they're not even aware of it. They're not flustered at all. They're just sitting there peacefully. So when Biden was in office, That's peaceful times for them. They're not, and it's the opposite for me. I've got my ear to the railroad track, looking at everything going wrong with that administration and how it's proof that people who voted for him were knuckleheads, which I don't think it was a lot. I think the Army of the Dead voted that guy in, and a bunch of numbers, a bunch of zeros and ones. That was a stolen election. But let's do that. I was worried about that wind serpent. But I'm kind of constantly cognizant. Right now, I'm aware of what's going on. I like news. I enjoy this stuff. And so I'm listening to that whether my guy's in office or not. But under the Biden administration, I was having to watch some terrible things happening. The borders opened, letting all these criminals in, and the human trafficking that was happening. I was like, how can you people ignore this? This isn't right or left stuff. This is basic, decent human being stuff. I don't get it. You know, and I'm telling you, I think most of them just weren't aware. And so what I'm trying to say is that whenever I first made the Trump mugshot character, I was the one stirring things up. I was active. Now that my guy's in office, I'm more content to just let things unfold. I'll get into arguments over ICE or deportation every now and again, but mostly I just let other people argue over that. So you see, like, the dissatisfaction is over on the left side right now. But I don't have to do that fight every single day, right? I've been involved in that. I had back and forths with people. I listened to their arguments, mostly just to see, okay, you know, does this guy have anything to say that I'm missing? And nope, they don't. So I reached my conclusion, and there's not a purpose for me to engage on that anymore. Darn it, 200 yards the wrong way. Oh, we're looking for Awatanka. Okay. Which I can click this. Oh, there he is. No, I guess not. Yeah, that is not him. Okay. Or he's not in this group. Otherwise, whenever I clicked this, it would have tagged him. But on this server here, I guess coming full circle, this server here, so my last server, there was actually a priest on that server named Anti-Fascist. I think if you're part of Antifa, you're a radical. I mean, you're officially designated, officially, by the U.S. government as a domestic terrorist, and that's what I think you are, exactly what you are. I've been watching Antifa since, I think it was about 2010 is whenever, because I lived up there in the Pacific Northwest. And I remember one of the first things that I saw about them was how they were getting out into traffic and directing traffic like they're the boss. I was shocked by that. I was like, what? Who does that? And then I was more surprised that nobody was doing anything about it. That's what kind of tipped me off, is like, for nobody to be doing anything about that, that takes government complicity. Right? The police have to stand down. Somebody is going to be telling the police to stand down, because I've known enough cops to know that they're not geared that way naturally. So either the police chief is corrupt, or the mayor, or the governor, right? The AG of that state. Somebody like that. So that's what kind of tipped me off there, and then I just started kind of keeping tabs on Antifa, and I've read about what they believe in. I know about their handbook. I know that ultimately, when it gets down to brass tacks, they will tell you openly that they don't believe in democracy. They believe that things need to be taken by force. So they are the authoritarian brown shirts that they're looking for. But they don't see it that way. I think most of them are anarchists with a strong mix of communists. And so, of course, communists aren't going to see themselves as brown shirts. They see themselves as the polar opposite. Well, I don't think that's true. Nazism actually has the word socialism in it. And it was a socialistic economy. It's a government-driven economy. And both of them are authoritarian. Let's see, how do I get to the other side there? We're going to have to take the long way around, aren't we? Maybe I should go this way. I don't know, we'll try. I couldn't get up this, Man, it kind of looks like I should be able to. I'm going to give it another shot. I wanted to avoid that quill boar. Doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like it's possible. Yeah, make our way through all this mess. So I have always viewed Nazis, and most of the world views Nazis and communism as the far left versus the far right, and then those establish the polar ends of your spectrum, and everything else falls in between. So maybe you would put capitalism in the middle, right? I don't know. That's not how I've ever thought of it. Or actually not for a long time. I shouldn't say ever. I was raised in an indoctrinated system like everybody else. You know, you kind of go with what you're taught. And I always considered Nazism to be far right for quite a long time because that's what I was told. Yeah, here's Shock saying, dang, nobody on tonight on TBC Eve. Yeah, probably we'll have some people on a little bit later. I think it's that people are at work. They're getting ready. Maybe some of them are going to take tomorrow off. But, for unrelated reasons, I got really interested in World War II history first and then the Holocaust. And, again, this was about looking at cultures. I mean, I had this big question. How did an entire nation of people fall for this? For what they did to Jews, you know? And it wasn't just the Jews that they did it to. They did it to gay people. They did it to, what are they called? Gosh, it's on the tip of my tongue. I can't believe I can't remember the name right now. It's just escaping me, guys. But they're like vagabonds. They travel around. The name comes from Eastern Europe, but they killed those people too. They killed the mentally ill. Right. So I started studying this and watching a lot of documentaries. I also watched movies because I think these things go hand in hand. I know that movies are not reality, and that the closest you can get is based on a true story, and sometimes you'd be shocked at how little it's actually based on that true story, right? Because movies are for entertainment first. But I do think that it gets you the feelings side, what things felt like, what they might have felt like. It helps create the empathy to try and put yourself in other people's shoes. And you can watch a number of different movies. You can look at it from the position of somebody, of a Jew who's taken custody of, or of a German citizen who is trying to hide a Jew, or of a German soldier who is complicit with it all, right? And you get these different perspectives. Anyway, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole too much on that because I don't want to forget my main topic. But the idea is, I poured a lot of research into studying how and what the Nazis were, how they came to power, how they thought, how they propagandized their people, why this worked, what their beliefs were, like ideologically. Before all the atrocities happened, their war against communists, right? This is I think where you get the idea that they're on polar opposites, and I've even dug into that, and I think I understand why people who say that they're on opposite ends of the spectrum say what they're saying. I just don't believe that those things are the core aspects at play. They may have been core to that specific explicit anti-Semitic nature. But if you're looking at trying to prevent things in the future, you don't want to hinge it just on anti-Semitism. You want to look more broadly, this is my opinion, more broadly at what the core fundamentals are, because the motivations may change. And whenever I look at that, what I find is that both communism and fascism are authoritarian, which is not what capitalism is unless you start getting into crony capitalism. And it's certainly not what democracy is, right? But they're both authoritarian. Their results of what happens to their people and their nations are very, very, very similar in my view. And so I see them as two sides of the same coin. They are both on the left. I think it's a misnomer to call fascism far right. I think when you're doing that, you're considering things like, well, you're nationalistic. Well, nationalism in and of itself doesn't mean that you're ready to go lock everybody up who doesn't agree with you and gas them to death. That doesn't mean that. Nationalism is having pride in your country. If you show up to the Olympics and root for your nation, that's an aspect of nationalism. You know, so you can't take things that are common to all nations' populations and then label that as far right. There's no coherency to that. Certainly no consistency. Another thing that they tend to draw a dividing line between. So the nationalist is juxtaposed against communism's. Did I run past? I did run past again. Or I got to a waypoint and it said go back. What are we looking for here? Wash tape. Okay, we're looking for the wind serpent. It's juxtaposed against communism's globalist view. Workers of the world unite. Well, that's not a left versus right. It's not. You can have liberals who are not globalists. It's a little bit rare these days, but you can have that. That's just, we're becoming a very polarized society across the world, so it's a little harder to find that these days. Usually when you run into a liberal, the idea of I'm a citizen of the world is anchored there, but that's not always been the case. And I don't think it'll be the case in the future. So I don't think that that's a good dividing line when it comes to deciding what the differences between right and left are, or by calling fascism far right. The other area is traditional values. They bring up Nazis embracing of traditional family value. I guess this would be the anti-gay side. And I don't think that that's a good distinction either, because you can find people on the left who embrace traditional values. You can go into minority communities. Right now in America, some of the most traditional communities culturally in America are and have been for a long time minorities. And minorities tend to be liberal. So I don't think that that's a good separation. So I find communism and Nazism, or fascism, to be two sides of the same left-handed coin. I don't believe that they represent far left and far right. So whenever I look at Antifa and I see how authoritarian they are and how much they embrace it, I'm constantly telling those guys, you are the brown shirts that you're looking for, and most of them are completely and utterly perplexed. What are you talking about, man? It's in the name. Bro, I don't care. You acting just like them. And your own book embraces this idea. Your how-to manual embraces the idea of authoritarian tactics. That's why you can get out into the streets and yell people power and just decide to set up your own like a Chaz zone, a chop zone, or direct traffic, that you're the ones that have the authority to do this because you're authoritarians. You don't believe in a consensus. You believe in power and the audaciousness to go and wield it, regardless of what rules, laws, and agreed upon social norms say, because you fundamentally find the agreed upon laws and social norms to be evil. Right? I get why you're doing it. I don't agree with you. I think you're wrong. But I get why you're doing it. And rather than engage in dialogue and entering into the arena of honest debate and trying to persuade people to your cause through reason and dialect, you would much rather just go force people. So you're authoritarians, just like Nazis. That's why I'm not the only one saying this. Now, I came to this conclusion on my own because I was digging into Antifa more than anybody I knew. Like I say, back in 2010, that's pretty early. Antifa's been around for a long time. But for it starting to gain national recognition, 2010 is pretty early. And I didn't know anybody else who was really paying attention to any of this. I went and figured I came to these conclusions myself. But since then, I have seen multiple people accuse you of the very same thing. Using the same phrase, you are the brown shirts that you're looking for. Look in the mirror, things like that. Right? So on that SOD server, there was an actual character named Anti-Fascist, and it had more, I felt like it leaned left. This server here, I don't know this for sure, but I kind of suspect it's at least balanced. I think I would say it probably is balanced, but because conservatives are used to being kind of outnumbered and outgunned, to us it feels like it's in our favor, but it's probably really more realistic to say that it's balanced. And once again, and I think this will always be the case no matter what WoW server you're on, the greatest majority of people are the ones who are like, would all of you just shut the hell up? I didn't come here to listen to any of this crap. They're trying to get away from that. And again, I do have empathy. I can understand that position. I get it. I can't find this guy, man. I need to start clicking this. It just has me going back and forth on this same road. every time that I have found this, it's not on this side. It's over on this side. We are going to Buongiorno Nerds. Let me say hello to Plant Person. Normally I'll probably have a picture here to block this out just because I didn't think to do it this time, but I usually try to protect people's identities and stuff here. I mean, it's not a big deal. It's not like my guildies have things to hide or anything like that. I'm just trying to be out of an abundance of caution and consideration for people's trust and privacy. I usually have that blocked out. So future episodes will probably have that blocked out. But once we find Wash Day here, I think we're going to wrap this episode up. You have a good idea of what I'm trying to do. Need to get the mage to level 35, and then I got a lot of scaling up to do, a lot of leveling and enchanting. So I am hoping that I can get that done soon-ish. I really don't expect to have it done in time for the opening of the portal. That would be practically a miracle. Where am I at when it comes to enchanting? I'm only at 89. So yeah, you know, could take a while. We might actually have to call this good right now. Just because, I don't feel like we're not really doing anything. I'm looking for Wash Day and I haven't found them yet. We need to find Gan also. Let's maybe go do that. Wash Day might have something like a 10-minute respawn. I haven't even seen his body. But whenever I've found him, he's been out in this area. And it's typically this guy right here, but obviously that's not him. I wonder if I need to kill him just to get a respawn going. Let's throw a fireball at him. Huh, darn it. Oh, darn it. That sucks. That's what I was trying to kite him. Alright, Greater Thunderhawk, time to die. Oh, if I could just get you in my sights and keep you there. Alright, down goes Greater Thunderhawk. I'm pretty sure this is where I normally find Wash Day, and I kind of wonder if he was holding that place. But let's go find Gan in the meantime and get that quest. Then maybe we can come back here and see if he has shown up. That's Gan right there.
Hail, farewell.
Okay, look at the map. Where am I at? I'm down here. Okay, this is Wash Day, right? No, Aeon Swift River. Oh my gosh, look at the pathing. That's crazy. I don't think I've ever had to find that. Okay, it's right here, Wash Day. Is this exclamation point. So we'll go down here. All right. This episode right here was about setting you guys up with sort of the backstory, the info, what my plan is for my characters, kind of who I am a little bit, and just sort of jibber jabbering about the server and about I think I told you about my guild. Did a lot of discussion on what I think about certain political things and concepts and why and how I arrived at those conclusions. In the upcoming episodes, that kind of stuff is going to be really minimal. We're really focused on progress. Oh, there. That was probably wash day right there. Oh, did they skin them? They probably skinned them. Okay. Almost guaranteed that was wash day. So we will be waiting for a respawn. Alright, well, this is a good place to go ahead and end this episode then. And I'll be making more episodes to fill up my YouTube channel with, and I'm going to need a lot of them because I accidentally deleted that Surviving Mars, so we'll be in it quite a bit. And we'll just kind of play it by ear as to when the other series that I'm working on come back. I don't know when that's going to happen. I just know that right now is crunch time for TBC, and so it is all TBC all the time at the moment. So let's go ahead and sign off with that. Again, I'm Aesop Grimm. Thank you for coming by the channel. I hope you like what you saw. More importantly, I hope all is well in your neck of the woods, and I'll see you in the next episode where this story continues.
This place ain't no such thing as civilized. It's man, so in love with greed, he has forgotten himself and found